Hello, good evening. This is news report for this week. I'm going to be very real with you guys. I am exhausted. It has been a very long couple days at work, and I am really having to force myself to sit here and talk about this, but I want to keep being consistent with these posts, so let's just get into it and discuss some headlines from this past week. So, Republicans continue to lose. Right now, it's still relatively small stuff. There was a Georgia House seat that was flipped in a district that went positive 12 for Trump in 2024. Miami elected their first Democratic mayor in 30 years. And this one's a little bigger deal. The Indiana State Senate blocked a GOP redistricting effort. So multiple states, if you have been sleeping under a rock, multiple states across the United States are currently trying to redistrict ahead of the midterms, and this is out of the norm. Most states wait until the census and then they redistrict a year or two after that. But not all of them. A couple of them. Texas is a big exception that I guess has done it before, kind of in the middle of the 10-year span there. Well, this is predictably pissed off the Democrats because it's mostly Republican states or Republican majority states that are trying to do this. So the Indiana House passed a bill to try to squeeze out the last couple of Democratic districts in their state to try to give a +2 possibly to the House of Representatives to try to get it to stay under Republican control. In the midterms, well, all the principled GOP members are just absolutely stumbling over themselves to sabotage this effort all over the United States, and other self-respecting Republicans are congratulating them for their integrity. Meanwhile, Democrats have already passed a measure in California to redistrict to try to give them 5 seats there, originally to offset Texas, but the Texas one, which was the big one, may not even come together. So what it's looking like is states like Texas, Florida, Ohio, Missouri, Kansas, and North Carolina, which all have varying stages of redistrict efforts going on right now because now Indiana is out of that running. California decided to redistrict to squeeze out Republican seats in response to all those states doing that. Well, because we are our own worst enemies, Republicans are getting in the way of Republicans, and the Democrats have absolutely no moral qualms about squeezing every Republican out of every state they possibly can. So California is going to squeeze at least 5 Republicans out, if not more. Virginia has talked about doing the same to probably all but 1 or 2 districts. Maryland may do the very same to all but, I think, 1 district. And Utah, apparently, there's a weird thing going on with the courts there where there may possibly be a seat fall to the Democrats in Utah. So great job, Republicans. Really love that you fight so hard to stop us from ever gaining any ground. Congrats to congressional Republicans everywhere. You freaking scumbags. Anyways, in the Middle East, so U.S. military has a little bit of news. This is the first time I've seen the headline like this in a while, but an American patrol actually was attacked. 2 U.S. soldiers were killed, as well as an American interpreter, and apparently a couple of Syrian service personnel, didn't get any more specific than that, as well as 3 other U.S. military members were wounded in an attack by an ISIS gunman. He was killed, and President Trump has vowed retaliation. So it's easy to forget, but we do still have boots on the ground in Syria and many other places around the world. So just continue to keep them in your prayers. Terror doesn't sleep. And in our own hemisphere, American forces have seized an oil tanker. So amidst the buildup outside of Venezuela, as the Trump administration is trying to put pressure on Maduro, we have been schwacking a bunch of drug boats and now have taken a much bigger prize. And Trump's just like, when asked what we do with it, he's like, I guess we keep it. So we got a new one for the collection. So I don't know if there's any gunfire or anything. I think they just flew up with a couple of helicopters, fast roped some dudes down with guns and said, this belongs to us now. Didn't read too in-depth on either one of those stories because I wanted to get to the second half of this video, which is the country of Chile. Hard right candidate Jose Antonio Cost has defeated literal communist Janet Jara, or Janet Jara, however you say that, in their presidential election that just took place. And Cost has some rather infamous heritage. His father was a German soldier and an actual Nazi in World War II, and that obviously has made for no small amount of trouble, I guess, in his political career. This is I believe the third time that I've read that he was running for the presidential office and has only just now won. But he won pretty handedly with 58% of the vote to Jara's 42%. So, and I guess he won a majority in just about every district, if not all of them. So, well done there. He's alongside Javier Milei and El Salvador's Bukele, as well as a couple others in multiple Latin countries, kind of starting to shift more towards the right. So a lot of the policies that he's wanting to look at implementing in Chile is creating a police force to act a lot like ICE does here. So I guess they deal with a fair amount of illegal immigration, and a big policy that got him into, or is getting him into office, was a desire to crack down on crime and a lot of trafficking going on and a lot of immigration issues. Not too different than what we deal with here in the States, even though I think it's to a far bigger scale up here. Of course, he wants to cut public spending. They are the biggest exporter of copper and one of the biggest exporters of lithium, so he wants to reduce some regulations and implement some policies to kind of boost the market. And he personally is a devout Catholic and opposes abortion, although that looks like it's not likely to make any ground in Chile, as I guess a lot of the population loves abortion. Go figure. Another relatively developed country that just can't get enough of murdering its own babies. So hopefully one day we'll be rid of this evil, but apparently it's not going to be anytime soon. But congratulations to President-elect Jose Cost. May your administration be a successful one, and hopefully we can start to see the United States and Chile work a little closer together. I would love, personally, to see this. I kind of felt this way when Argentina elected Milei, and has now had a lot of good come out of that, where if we can manage to get on top of things and stabilize the United States and push from the top down, and Argentina, and I guess now Chile and some others, push from the bottom up, we can reclaim this hemisphere, guys. Let Europe do all the crazy civilizational suicide that they want and turn into a bunch of Muslim caliphates and just plunge into oblivion as they refuse to do anything to try to turn around their plunging birth rates and refuse to get immigration in check or do anything against the advance of Islam whatsoever. Let the East burn. Let them have fun over there on that side of the pond until they've had enough of that and decide they actually want to man up and do something about that. And let's worry about our hemisphere. I'm a big fan of that. Cut all our funding to everyone east of the Prime Meridian. Let them have fun in their own little party over there in the old world. And let's make not just the United States, but the entire Western Hemisphere great. Once again, Monroe Doctrine, baby. It's good to see that there's some progress. As frustrating as a lot of the events are here in the United States, it is really cool to see that it's not just Americans. There are a lot of other people. I know there's people in Europe. But busting your balls, giving you a hard time here. I know there's a lot of, especially with some of the big protests that took place after we lost Charlie Kirk, sadly, but the UK had some incredible protests going on in favor of trying to reclaim their own country. So I would love to see the Brits get back on top of that and get these traitors out of their system. And anyways, moving on. So the big headlines. There was, unfortunately, over this weekend, 2 significant events of violence. One in Brown University, which is, if you're not aware, is an Ivy League school in Rhode Island, one of the oldest institutions in the United States. And there was a mass shooting there. 2 were unfortunately lost, 9 injured, and the shooter is still at large, while the bumbling oafs in the administration, the local administration, continue to have no idea what's going on, and the police force has been or the university have not been very forthcoming with information about the shooter. I guess Brown University is one of the worst when it comes to... Don't take anything I'm saying here as gospel. I was trying to squeeze in as much research as I could on this. I wasn't left with a lot of time over the last couple days, but basically the campus president had no idea what was going on when she appeared in front of a press briefing. People were asking her questions, and she's like, I don't know, I haven't really had a chance to look into what's happening. And this is one of the most heavily surveilled areas as far as like campuses goes, public goes, and somehow they barely have any footage or imagery of this guy. I was just seeing before hitting record that they are finally starting to release a little bit of imagery. But we don't know. We don't have any name. We don't have any... we got almost nothing. But one of those killed was Ella Cook, who was the vice president of Brown University's College Republicans, which raises questions of whether or not this was a politically motivated shooting. We will see. Maybe it was just a wrong place, wrong time. We won't know the motive until the perpetrators captured. And then there was an international student from Uzbekistan, and his name was Muhammad Aziz Umerzakov. I probably messed that up, but sounds like he was a very intelligent young man. Dealt with a lot of health issues, and that motivated him to study biochemistry and neuroscience. And as harsh a view as I have on immigration these days, this young man seems like he was genuinely trying to better himself, to try to make the world a better place in his own way, and we are less for his loss. So please pray for these families. Of course, the left is already all up in arms. Where we've been 100 times before, some public violence, some public shooting happens, and the left starts screaming about gun control. How it's the guns, stupid. It's not the criminal, it's the guns. We need to get rid of the guns, blah, 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 blah. Especially with this next thing that's happened, which wasn't in the United States, but there was a Hanukkah celebration going on in Bondi Beach, Australia. And a couple of Muslim scumbags roll up with what I guess are licensed weapons there. Even though Australia already has pretty strict gun control, they managed to get their hands on some guns and just went to town and killed everyone from a 10-year-old little girl, I believe, all the way up to an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor. So you survive the Third Reich just to be gunned down by some Islamic shitbag. What a world. But I guess some police officers were all but cowering nearby for a full 20 minutes while these guys just went on a rampage. Credit where credit is due. There's a guy by the name of Ahmed Al-Ahmed, and there was some debate whether or not this dude was Muslim or Christian. It looks like he was Muslim, and you know what? Thank God for him. If more were like this, I wouldn't necessarily have as much an issue with Islam across the board. But we rarely see guys like this. But Ahmed hopped in and snuck up behind and put one of the assailants in a headlock and managed to disarm him and didn't use the gun on him, but he got him to stop and at least had the gun on the ground. And he did survive. He's in the hospital, and you know what? Thank God for him. God bless you. We need more like you. But what is very clearly an Islamic motivated attack against one of their primary religious enemies, a Jewish community. And Christians don't think they wouldn't do this to any one of us, because they would. This is why they're here in the West. But what's the response by the Australian government and Australian leaders? Oh, it's not a crackdown on immigration. It's more gun control. So congratulations to Australia for failing to learn the lesson yet again. And I'm sure people who do not share my point of view would say the exact opposite and would say, I'm not learning the lesson. But you know what? I think I'm going to close on a tweet I saw to wrap up my thoughts on this whole thing. And again, I just want to say, everyone, please keep these families, pray for the souls of those lost. Please keep these families who have lost people in your prayers. If you're close enough to them to do something, please help how you can. If there are any fundraisers to help take care of these families, be on the lookout for those. I don't have anything yet. If this ever becomes something I get to spend more time paying attention to, I want to start sharing links to things like that. But anyways, so this tweet, I think, sums up my thoughts perfectly on this whole issue of every time there's some kind of public shooting and all of a sudden the left is screaming that we need more gun control, and the right are really the immoral, heartless lunatics that just love their guns more than they love people. This is from a guy named the Roman Helmet Guy on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. And he says, the left wants to disarm law-abiding citizens, import the most violent people from around the world, release murderers and rapists and everyone from prison, and then defund the police. That's who's calling you every horrible name under the sun because you refuse to give up your guns. And I'm going to end on that. So thank you very much for watching. We're going to continue to work at this. I'm going to work on better lighting, so I'm not looking so crazy pale or so crazy in the light here. But thank you guys very much for watching. God bless you. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time.